Okay, so how to follow the habits of highly successful people. So I realized something from these people. It's the fact that they started at a really young age, like my age, like 15, maybe even earlier. And this discourages so many people. They're like, like, maybe they're like 20, maybe they're my age, and like, oh, I can't really do that, right? Because the time has passed. I would say yes, it probably has passed. If you wanted to get successful at 20, it has passed. Look, it takes there was this rule I read somewhere. It said it takes 10,000 hours to perfect something, anything. 10,000 hours to perfect maybe computer science, or any pretty much anything, any endeavor that you plan to take. So 10,000 hours. Say if you did 1 hour a day. I mean, yeah, or 1 or 2 hours a day. That'd be about like 730 every year. So 730 times 10 is about 7,300. And that's very close to 10,000. By this time, you've perfected what you wanted to do, and that's what these successful people have done. They pursue stuff from such a young age that by the time they're in their mid 20s, they know exactly what to do, and they have the drive to do it. Now, what are the habits that they follow? So, I read a book called Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss, and he had outlined that there's a few habits that they follow the most, which it kind of came. It seems a little bit contradictory, and some of it's like new. Like some people haven't heard of it at all. The first one is meditation. Every single successful person has some kind of mindfulness practice, and when I say meditation, it doesn't mean they're just sitting there. They're just breathing, right? It's it's being mindful. It's realizing that you are here physically in the moments. Like I am mindful right now. I'm talking to this camera and I realize it. I realize my butt's on the seat, my feet are on the floor. Well, they're not actually on the floor. But you get what I'm saying. You know exactly where you are, what you're doing. You're just mindful of your actions. And this is a practice that almost every single successful person has done for at least 20 minutes a day. Another one I realized is reading. Reading is a huge one. And I know some, like it says online, some people read like 60, 70 books a year. And that's like a huge amount. That's about, how many books is that? That's like 5 books a week. I mean, not a week. That's like 5 books a month. And that is a lot. If your book is 300, 400 pages, it takes a while to read. But what they're doing with this, it's not just reading that's getting them there, it's education, it's application of the education. They learn something and they apply it. You have probably learned a lot of things. You've heard a lot of quotes from people, but you haven't really applied it. Now, you must have heard some kind of motivational quote maybe like a week or 2 weeks ago. Do you remember it? Maybe if it's long lasting, maybe if it's your wallpaper, you remember it. But almost no one remembers the stuff they're told. These guys, they apply it right away, and that's what makes them stand out. They read and they apply. Now you're saying, what if it was a book that you can't really apply it right away? Well, read something that you can apply right away. But some people aren't really into reading. So how exactly do you get into reading? Well, I heard this once from Naval Ravikant. He said, "Read what you love until you love reading." So let's say you're into anime, which is really weird. You can hate on me, but anime is very weird. You can start reading anime books if that's a thing. I think it's called like manga or something. I don't know. You can start reading that, and then once you start falling in love with that reading, you can start reading stuff about improvement, about that business you wanted to start, a lean startup, which is actually a book. You can read about minimalism. You can read about essentialism, which is also another book. It's really great. And this stuff, it's hard to apply sometimes. Like you can get stuff out of a science book that you can apply as well. It's just how do you figure out where to apply it? So we got reading, we got meditation, and the next one, I believe it was sleep. Yeah, you're like, oh, like 9 hours of sleep. Yeah, yeah, 9 hours of sleep. You don't understand how vital that is. It's been shown that people who try to take the SAT, which is a standardized test in the United States, they they have to practice for a really long time. And even if, so say you had two people who practice for a really long time, if you got one person to sleep maybe an hour less than the other, they would score almost 200 points less, which I would say is about, uh, oh, my math is horrible. That's like 16% less. I don't know, something like that. 20, 1600. Yeah. Sleep is a huge one. If you want to maximize your productivity, your efficiency, effectiveness, sleep. Get sleep. Yeah, I mean, those are pretty much the three main ones. And some of them also had physical exercise because that does boost your mental clarity. But if you wanted a minimum effective dose, you wanted something that takes the least amount of effort, 5 minutes of meditation, read maybe 5 pages of a book every day, and, just work out maybe 3 days a week. That's really it. That's all you need to become successful. It sounds so stupid. Like, oh, how does this? Stuff blooms out of this. When you read, you get knowledge about stuff. When you meditate, you get ideas. You're sitting there with nothing except your thoughts. If you have nothing except your thoughts, what do you expect to come into your head? After you clear all the junk, the stuff that's floating around, which I call emails, they're like constant emails that you haven't checked in such a long time. When was the last time you sat with your thoughts? No one sits with their thoughts alone. We try to cover it up with something. We go on Instagram, we look at, posts, we watch YouTube. You need to start sitting alone with your thoughts. This will generate the most ideas. Read so you get some knowledge to get those ideas when you're meditating. Work out so you can keep yourself physically fit. This is really it. There's nothing more. Hope you learned something.